Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, Knowledge Journey. Today, we're diving into a topic that many of you have asked about, dealing with toxic family members and how to maintain your personal boundaries without losing your peace. Now, we all know that family can be our biggest source of support, but what happens when family dynamics turn sour? What if interactions with family become a constant drain on your emotional well-being? Today, we're going to break down not just how to spot these toxic traits, but also how to handle them effectively while protecting your own mental health. But before we jump in, I want to share a quick story. Imagine a family gathering. You know, the kind where everyone is catching up, having a good time. But there's this one relative. Let's call her Aunt Clara. She's the one who always has something negative to say. Whether it's a snide comment about someone's job, questioning their life choices, or undermining their achievements. It seems trivial at first, but over time, this kind of behavior can really take a toll on your self-esteem and mental health. In today's video, we'll explore how to set boundaries, communicate effectively, and ensure that your self-care is a priority. We'll also look at some scientific research that sheds light on the effects of toxic relationships and practical steps to mitigate this impact. So, whether you're dealing with an Aunt Clara of your own or just hoping to better navigate your family dynamics, stick around, as this guide might just be what you need to start turning things around. Let's get started. Moving into the first section of our discussion, let's delve deeper into identifying toxic behaviors within family dynamics. Recognizing these behaviors is the first crucial step towards managing them effectively. Let's consider a few everyday scenarios that might strike a chord with you. Picture this. You're at a family dinner, and every time you share something about your life, a particular family member, let's say your brother, dismisses your achievements or interrupts you to talk about himself. This behavior, where your voice is consistently undermined or ignored, is a classic sign of toxic dynamics. Or perhaps, imagine you're planning a family event and your cousin insists on controlling every aspect, refusing to consider others' opinions. When challenged, she manipulates the situation by playing the victim, turning other family members against you. This manipulation and control are key indicators of a toxic relationship. Now, consider a quieter but equally damaging scenario. You're excited to announce a personal success, maybe a new job or a major purchase, and instead of celebration, you receive cold, dismissive responses from your parents. This lack of support and passive aggression can be incredibly disheartening and is another red flag in toxic family relationships. Why is it important to pinpoint these behaviors? According to a study by the University of Cambridge, regular exposure to such negative interactions can significantly increase stress levels and even lead to long-term psychological issues, such as anxiety and depression. Identifying these behaviors early on can help you take necessary actions to protect your mental well-being. As we proceed, keep these scenarios in mind. If they feel familiar, you might be dealing with toxic dynamics. Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards setting the boundaries we'll discuss next. As we transition into the second section of our discussion, let's explore the impact these toxic relationships can have on your mental and emotional health. Understanding the effects can empower you to take action and prioritize your well-being. Consider this. You've been dealing with a dismissive or controlling relative like the ones we described earlier. Over time, this constant negativity doesn't just fade into the background. It starts to take a real toll. You might find yourself feeling anxious before family gatherings, dreading interactions that should be joyful occasions. Perhaps you notice that your self-esteem has dipped significantly, or you're experiencing symptoms of depression, feelings of hopelessness, or a loss of interest in activities you once loved. Scientific research provides insights into just how damaging these environments can be. comprehensive study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology found that individuals who regularly interact with toxic family members report higher levels of stress and a greater incidence of mental health disorders. These interactions can trigger the body's stress responses, releasing cortisol and other stress hormones that over prolonged periods can affect everything from your heart health to your immune system. But it's not just about the internal effects. The way you interact with others can be influenced too. If you're constantly criticized or belittled, you might start to view other relationships through a lens of skepticism and defense, which can lead to wider social issues and isolation. Recognizing these impacts is crucial. It's the first step in acknowledging that your feelings are valid and that it might be time to consider setting boundaries or seeking support. This isn't just about improving your current relationships, it's about safeguarding your future health and happiness. By understanding the profound effects these toxic dynamics can have, you can better prepare yourself for the steps needed to regain control over your emotional environment. Let's keep this knowledge in mind as we move on to discussing how to set effective boundaries, which we'll cover next. Now, let's move into the third section of our video, setting boundaries. This is where we start to take active steps to manage the impact of toxic family members. Establishing boundaries is not just about saying no, it's about creating a healthy environment for yourself. Let's take a personal example to illustrate this. A few years back, I found myself dreading family events because of a relative who would always criticize my career choices. Every comment felt like a jab at my life decisions, which was really undermining my confidence. So, I decided it was time to set some boundaries. I began by clearly stating that my career was not up for discussion at family gatherings. If the topic was brought up, I politely but firmly changed the subject, and if pressed, I would excuse myself from the conversation. This might seem small, but the impact was significant. It taught me that setting boundaries is not about creating conflict. It's about respecting yourself. Here's how you can start. 1. Identify your limits. Reflect on what aspects of your interactions with family members affect you negatively. Is it comments about your lifestyle, intrusive questions, or something else? Pinpointing this helps you understand where boundaries need to be set. 2. Communicate clearly and calmly. Once you know your limits, communicate them clearly. Use I statements to express how you feel and what you need, such as, I feel stressed when we discuss my job, so I'd prefer to talk about something else. 3. Consistency is key. Be consistent in enforcing these boundaries. If you've asked not to discuss your career, stick to that every time the topic comes up. This consistency sends a clear message about what is and isn't acceptable. 4. Prepare for pushback. It's natural for people, especially family, to test boundaries. Prepare yourself to reassert your boundaries calmly and firmly without escalation. 5. Adjust as needed. As relationships evolve, so too might your boundaries. Be open to reassessing and adjusting them as needed to ensure they continue to serve your well-being. Setting these boundaries can significantly reduce stress and improve your mental health. A study by the American Psychological Association showed that individuals who set firm personal boundaries with family reported better mental health and lower levels of stress than those who did not. This isn't just about avoiding discomfort. It's about actively crafting a healthier emotional life. As we progress, remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's a necessary step for maintaining your health and happiness. Next, we'll look at specific communication strategies to help you implement these boundaries effectively. Now that we've discussed how to set boundaries, let's dive into the fourth section, communication strategies. Effective communication is the key to enforcing these boundaries and ensuring they are respected by your toxic family members. Let's use a practical example to bring this to life. Imagine you're at a family reunion and an overbearing relative starts to criticize your parenting style. In this moment, you need to communicate your boundary clearly without escalating the situation. Here's how you can approach it. 1. Use I statements. Start by expressing your feelings and needs using I statements. For instance, you might say, "I feel upset when my parenting is criticized like this. I need our conversations to be supportive and constructive." 2. Stay calm and collected. It's easy to get emotional, but the key to effective communication is staying calm. Take deep breaths, speak slowly, and keep your tone even. This helps prevent the situation from escalating. 3. Be direct but respectful. While it's important to be clear and assertive, remember to maintain respect. Avoid accusatory or confrontational language, which can make the other person defensive. 4. Practice active listening. Show that you are also willing to listen. This doesn't mean agreeing with everything they say, but by acknowledging their feelings, you can help de-escalate potential conflict and encourage a more constructive dialogue. 5. Plan your responses. Sometimes you can anticipate the topics or comments that might come up. Plan your responses ahead of time so you're not caught off guard. For example, if you know someone might comment on your job, prepare a response like, "I appreciate your concern, but I am really happy with where I am right now and would prefer to focus on the positive tonight." 6. Deciding when to engage. It's important to choose your battles. Not every comment needs a response. Sometimes, the best approach is to let minor things go and save your energy for more significant issues. To reinforce these points, let's refer to some scientific backing. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that individuals who employed assertive communication techniques in toxic family situations felt more empowered and reported higher self-esteem over time. This shows the power of words and how they can be used to reshape even the most challenging family dynamics. As we move forward, remember that the goal of communication is not to win an argument, but to manage interactions in a way that preserves your mental health and peace. In the next section, we will explore how to care for yourself and build a support system to help you maintain these boundaries. Let's keep this journey going, and don't forget to stay tuned for more tips on transforming your family relationships. Moving on to section 5 of our discussion, let's focus on the crucial aspects of self-care and support. While setting boundaries and communicating effectively are essential in managing toxic relationships, taking care of your emotional and mental health is equally important. Self-care practices. First, let's talk about self-care. Self-care is about doing things that replenish your mental reserves and help you stay centered. It can be as simple as taking time for yourself to read a book, go for a walk, or engage in a hobby that you love. It's important to carve out these moments, especially after stressful family interactions. For example, after a challenging family event, you might feel drained or emotionally exhausted. This is a perfect time to practice self-care. You could schedule a decompression day where you focus entirely on activities that make you feel peaceful and happy. Whether it's yoga, a long bath, or watching your favorite movie, these activities can significantly reduce stress and restore your emotional balance. Building a support system. Next, let's consider the importance of having a support system. This includes friends, partners, therapists, or support groups who understand your experiences and provide emotional comfort and advice. Having people to talk to who can offer perspective and validation is invaluable. Imagine you've just had a tough conversation with a family member who belittles your achievements. A friend or a therapist can not only help you process your feelings, but can also remind you of your worth and help you see the situation more clearly. They act as a sounding board, helping you to reframe negative interactions and reinforce your self-esteem. Scientific insight. There's also scientific evidence supporting the benefits of self-care and a strong support system. Studies like those published in the Journal of Health Psychology have shown that individuals who engage in regular self-care and have a robust support network experience lower levels of stress and higher levels of life satisfaction. Implementing self-care and support. 1. Identify what works for you. Not all self-care activities suit everyone. Experiment with different activities to find what truly helps you relax and recharge. 2. Regular check-ins. Make it a habit to check in with yourself regularly. How are you feeling? What do you need? This can help you catch and address negative emotions before they become overwhelming. 3. Seek professional help if needed. There's no shame in seeking help from a mental health professional. They can provide strategies and tools to cope with toxic relationships and strengthen your emotional resilience. 4. Cultivate positive relationships. Invest time and energy in relationships that uplift and support you. Positive interactions can act as a buffer against the negative effects of toxic family dynamics. By integrating these self-care practices and building a supportive network, you can protect your mental health and navigate family challenges more effectively. Remember, taking care of your mental and emotional health isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. As we prepare to conclude our video, let's move on to the final section, where we'll discuss knowing when it might be necessary to take a step back or walk away from particularly damaging family relationships. This is a tough, but sometimes essential step to preserving your well-being. As we approach the final section of our video, it's time to address a difficult but sometimes necessary decision: knowing when to walk away from toxic family relationships. This step isn't about giving up. It's about recognizing when a relationship is irreversibly damaging to your mental health and taking steps to protect yourself. Signs it's time to distance yourself. Let's start by identifying some clear signs that it might be time to consider distancing yourself from a family member. 1. Consistent negativity. If interactions are predominantly negative and leave you feeling drained, disrespected, or depressed, it's a sign that the relationship may be doing more harm than good. 2. Lack of respect for boundaries. Despite clear communication, if your boundaries are continually ignored or violated, this shows a lack of respect for your needs and well-being. 3. Impact on your mental health. If being around certain family members triggers anxiety, stress, or depression, and these feelings don't subside, it's crucial to reevaluate your involvement with them. 4. Physical symptoms. When stress from family interactions starts manifesting physically, like headaches, stomach issues, or insomnia, it's a warning that the emotional toll is too high. How to reduce contact gradually. Understanding that cutting ties can be challenging, especially when it comes to family, here's how you can begin to reduce contact gradually. 1. Limit in-person visits. Start by limiting the frequency of in-person meetings. Perhaps opt for major holidays only, or limit visits to public or neutral settings where you feel safer and more in control. 2. Shorten your calls. Reduce the time you spend on phone calls or video chats. Keep interactions brief and to the point. 3. Use text or email. Sometimes, written communication can be less confrontational and easier to manage. It gives you the time to think about your responses and maintain control over the conversation. 4. Engage in group settings. When you do meet, try to ensure it's in larger group settings. Being around others can sometimes dilute the intensity of the toxic behavior you're trying to avoid. 5. Seek professional guidance. Consulting with a therapist can provide you with strategies to handle the transition smoothly and address any feelings of guilt or conflict that may arise. Conclusion. Making the decision to distance yourself or even cut ties with a family member is never easy. It's often accompanied by a mix of relief and guilt. But remember, protecting your mental health must be a priority. Just as we care for our physical health, we need to care for our psychological well-being with the same diligence. As we wrap up today's video, remember that every situation is unique. What works for one person may not work for another. And it's okay to seek out solutions that best fit your circumstances. If you're struggling, don't hesitate to reach out to mental health professionals who can provide you with personalized guidance. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit. Your support helps us continue to provide valuable content here on Knowledge Journey. Stay tuned for more insights and take care of yourselves. Until next time.